I've had like a lower back niggle since 2013, and it's like right SI area, and it just flares up now and then. But when I was a bigger athlete, like 2017, I had quite a lot of muscle mass, and I've lost a lot of it now. But I think that kind of gave me the confidence in the deadlift that I had then. I had a 205 kilo deadlift, and now it's like I can make some progress, but then that comes back, and then it pulls me back down. I have to start working from a much lighter load again. Then it goes away, I build up again, it'll come back.
So is it something that you felt actually go, or was it like more like an accumulated?
It kind of comes on. It's more like...
Would you notice it like the day after, rather than like during the session, you feel it go?
A bit of both, Josh. It's like sometimes it comes on during the session, I can continue through it, but I'll probably suffer the consequences afterwards. But you know, the ego will drag me along and say, it's not real, just keep going. But it's kind of like nerve pain, kind of like sparkly.
And do you find it's like an accumulated thing, like if you go through a training block, or would it just come on randomly? Or
it can come on randomly. I think it really depends on what I've done the previous day, or even the previous few days. If I'm dehydrated, if I've been sitting down a lot and not dealing with, because I sit at the computer quite a lot of the time. If I haven't dealt with, you know, tight hip flexors, stretching out glutes and stuff like that, then it's more like housekeeping that I'm just... I make the mistake and then I suffer the consequences, but I think there is a black hole with my start position for sure, like you've looked over the deadlift. I never feel right in the start position anymore, where it used to just be, like I knew it, like the back of my hand. I used to know exactly the right kind of tension to set. I didn't have to look at videos. It just felt right, and it doesn't feel right anymore. Yeah.
Are there any other triggers, like in terms of exercises, or is it just like conventional deadlift?
Squats will piss it off.
And at what point? Like, do you feel it at the bottom, or do you feel it at the top, or what?
I think I lose stability certainly at the bottom, and I'll feel it as I'm rising out of it because I've lost my tension as I've hit depth.
And what does that look like positionally? Do you butt wink or?
Yeah. If I go too low, like if I go parallel, everything's fine, and if I go underneath that.
Cool. Can you show me a squat? Yeah. Like what you'd usually do, just without really thinking about it or correcting or whatever. Yeah.
See, it tucks under a little bit when I break parallel.
Yeah, cool. So what have you ever tried to like address that?
Yeah.
And what have you
Box
done?
squats help. Paused squats help. Front squats remove it relatively well.
So would you do box squats as in to just cut the range of motion? So you're not. So that's like more of a workaround than addressing it.
I think so.
Yeah. So a big thing for butt wink that I think works really well is like adjusting the pelvic position to start. Okay. A lot of people, it's because they'll go into this like anterior pelvic tilt, and then like just look at mine, right? If I start in like anterior pelvic tilt there, and then I go down, can you see it? Yeah. Like tuck under there, the tailbone tucks under because it runs out of range. So if you can try and almost get into like your pelvis tilted more posteriorly, if you will, or imagine like your hips at the front, imagine like headlights, whereas in your start position where it's tucking under, very often it'll be because they might be pointing down like that. So if you can get them pointing forward before you start, can you see how that's a little bit better? Yeah. So just see if that makes any difference. So because you can see that start position here, you can see there's like just a little bit. See if that getting in that posterior tilt before you start. And then maintaining all the way through. So, and then just compare it to normal. And I'll just give you, let's use a front-loaded thing to start off, just so it can give you a bit of balance. So just do what you'd normally do.
Yeah.
Tuck. Go into like anterior tilt, so stick your butt right back, and then have a little go. So you can see it's really exaggerated there. Can you feel it?
Yeah.
Do you feel any discomfort?
It doesn't feel nice.
Yeah. But obviously, if you're adding load to that, then...
like that just removes all of the pain immediately.
Right.
Whereas that...
Yeah, great.
It hurts and it judders.
Cool. So just go, posteriorly. That's it. See, that looks a lot better, yeah? So that could be a thing that... Obviously, you if you're squatting, like using the box squats are brilliant for if there's a day where your back's flaring up, but you still want to work hard. Or, you said about the managing your ego kind of thing. Which is
as an on-the-day adaptation rather than
I think that's a really good way of like, if you're that mindset where you really want to push it, like you could use your box squats to go heavy, and then do the kind of lower, so you tick off that thing in your head of going heavy. So then you do your resistance work or whatever, or you're more accepting of going light and doing the Yeah?
Yeah.
So, and then on the lighter stuff, you're focusing on improving that kind of pelvis position. So, a few good exercises to add on your, try with the squats. Like I actually find, like say just goblet squats and stuff like that, where if you get to the point where, if you find, personally I find goblet squats a bit boring because you can't really go heavy, yeah?
Well, yeah, you're limited to the range of dumbbells.
Yeah, so like say either front squat or, which you obviously you're good at, aren't you, with your, I haven't seen you do them, but you're...
Not great at them, because I am quite a hip dominant squatter.
Yeah.
But I'm all right at them.
Yeah, I just find that front-loaded variation is just really
they
good.
get you working so much more at the front, don't they? I like Zercher squats. I'd probably say that's a better alternative.
Yeah,
for me.
well, I would say the Zercher.
It's a bigger crossover to strongman, anyway.
And also like a massive crossover to this kind of encouraging more posterior tilt. Yeah. Okay. Even if you think about it, you hold a big weight there and don't even squat it, and you go to the point where you're fatigued, like either, or say like a Conan's, for instance. What we do if you get in a position that's not going to fatigue your arms, actually if you get your hips under like that, that's going to kind of feel a lot easier in terms of rack positioning. Yeah. So if you do like a Zercher hold there and focus on getting your hips under, it's really going to reinforce that kind of that pelvic change, I reckon. Okay. So this makes a lot of sense. Obviously we've come about deadlifts, but this makes a lot of sense, right, to me, because I'm thinking if you're prone to say going into this anterior pelvic tilt, then you can see that in your kind of deadlift start position, you're going to be more likely to. This makes sense actually. Just picturing you're like that.
It's ticking boxes for me, and I just can't maintain it.
That's it. Whereas I think we can get into a more. I'm not even saying round your lower back or round your back. I'm just saying. I'm not even saying a little. I just think your lumbar seems to be, and it makes sense doing that and seeing the butt wink, that your pelvis is prone to that kind of anterior pelvic tilt as you move, which in turn is going to make that lower back more extended. So I think if you actually get in and then basically when you're going heavy on the deadlift, you're starting from this kind of, your pelvis is in this position, it might feel okay to maintain that with like say 50 to 70%, but then say you're getting up to say what you're doing for the qualifier or whatever, and you're going to get to the point where that you're not strong enough and that breaks. Yeah. Whereas I think from seeing that, there's quite enough margin to actually alter the pelvis position without even looking into like rounding your lower back. I actually think altering that pelvis position is going to be a game changer.
Okay.
Let's do 2 more. So do you ever feel it? Do you ever feel your back on deadlifts? And if so, or is it afterwards?
I do feel it on deadlifts.
Your back.
And it would be coming off the floor.
Right, that makes complete sense.
It usually feels really nice on the eccentric.
Yeah.
If I fucked it up at the start, it'll feel really nice on the negative, because I'll rebrace at the top. My second rep in a set will always look better from the floor.
Yeah, makes complete
than the
sense.
First one.
And I'll show you why. Right, do exactly the same as you've just done. Right, nice, that's enough. So, look at this. Right, just forget your back position.
Yeah.
And just look at where the plates go as you initiate the pull.
Okay.
Just look at that. Where are they going? Start again. And we're being really, really, really picky here because you're an advanced lifter.
Okay.
Yeah. So
they get straighter as the set goes on. What I think I can see. And the first
what we should be doing is that should be going in a straight line. Yeah. And in my opinion, it should be going ever so slightly back.
Right.
Probably with you, probably be vertical because your flexibility in terms of start positions are good. You'll see some people who struggle to get a good start position, so they'll have to start a little bit further away. Yeah. You know, like people who are bigger or whatever. So I think pretty much perfectly straight because you're going from midfoot roughly to meet your hips here. Yeah. But what's happening with, and it should be a perfectly straight line, but yours isn't. Yours is actually
it moves forwards.
Exactly. That's it. That's subtle. Watch where the plates start.
Yeah,
That's
it's
going.
tiny.
It's tiny. It's tiny.
When the kilos ramp up, that ramps up as well, doesn't it?
well, regardless of the kilos, right? Every kind of millimeter or degree that's in front of you, that's just magnifying the force, the shear forces through your lumbar spine. And you're saying that this is
that's the phase of the lift where it'll hurt.
Exactly. Yeah. So what's going to happen as that gets heavier, this is just going to come more pronounced. Yeah. But the big error that a lot of people do is like they focus so much on what the body's doing rather than what the bar's doing.
Yeah.
But if we can fix what the bar's doing, it'll be you'll have a lot easier task control in this stuff. Okay. Yeah. But it makes complete sense to me how you're frustrated with it and you feel like you're banging your head against the wall kind of thing, because you might be trying all these drills to improve the stability, but actually it's just that subtle bit of bar path. Yeah. So now that you know that, let's see if we can fix it a little bit. So what you can either do is, if that subtle leaking forward there, if that's because, like, logically you're trying to kind of navigate around the knee, and that's what happens to a lot of people, is they feel like they need to go forward to get around the knee. Yeah. So you can either, what we could try and do is just try and hinge a little bit more,
right? So
you don't feel like you need to. So if you're like here, and then you're kind of going, I'm exaggerating. Yeah. So if we can get the same kind of, basically your start position in terms of relationship from shin to bar, but instead of being there, we're kind of just sitting back that little bit more.
A bit,
yeah. So then the bar can come. Do you see how that's straight line? Yeah. We shouldn't be seeing that kind of arc, in my opinion. So you can either try that, or the other option, if you feel like, no, my hip hinge is perfect. What we could do is just give yourself a little bit more space by trying a little bit further away. Yeah.
Okay. So you've got room to pull it back.
So you've got room to pull it back.
Okay.
There. Yeah. So just have a go at that. And obviously, it probably not enough weight for you to feel the significant difference, but I want to fix this bar path before we even look at the. That was better. Yeah, that third one's better.
Okay. I pays a little bit more attention to setting my lats on that one.
Good. Just try like a couple of mil further, like same position, but like a couple of mil further away from your shins. Yeah, you're like almost touching your shins at the start position there. Let's try that.
So now no touch at the start.
Let's just have a. No, that
feels way too far away.
Yeah, that one's too far away. Just go to your normal. Let's go. Hold it there. Just keep the same position, but bar. Let's try that. See, that bar path now is going straight, and if anything, ever so slightly back, which is going to be a lot safer than. There's no hint of leaking forward there. Okay. Yeah. So again, this is something that you're gonna have to play with. Like, I'm going to give you some stuff to basically experiment with, okay. and it's going to be. It might take 5 sessions or something before you actually feel, oh shit, this actually does feel a little bit different, a little bit better. But that's the thing. That's the number one thing before you even touch about your back and pelvic position and stuff like that. Number one thing, get that bar path fixed. And if it means if you're having to slow-mo it and draw lines on your videos or whatever so you can see it, because it's so tiny, but it's just this position here that we've established that you don't really like and doesn't. It's for all of us. It's a lot weaker than say being here. Yeah. So we want to, when we're trying to produce force in that position, we want it to be as efficient as possible. So the fact that it's only a tiny little leak forward, we need to eradicate that completely. Yeah. And that's how you can do it. And but yeah, that's what I'm trying to emphasize is that look through the scope of look at your warm-up sets from now on. Just look at the bar, look at the plates. Yeah. If you could close your eyes, right, you can feel what a hip hinge is. Yeah. You can't get to the standard that you have without knowing what a pretty decent hip hinge is. Yeah. But look at don't be looking at your back next couple of sessions, especially when you're warming up. Just look at the bar, look at the plates, and just think, if anything, I've adjusted you there, getting the bar a little bit further away on that last one. And you might find that it's somewhere in between that's better, you know, almost touching your shins. You might find that long term that's the best way to go. But for now, I would actually rather, if anything, start with your issue, or not issue, but I would rather you start with, if you failed, I would rather you fail, but in fact, let me demonstrate, right? If you start like a millimetre further away, and you fail, you'd fail by the plates rolling in like that towards you, yeah? And worst case scenario is, you're going to fail the lift and you're just going to feel weak, yeah?
Rather than pushing it away from yourself and hurting yourself.
Pushing it away whilst you're still attached to the bar, that's the danger zone, yeah? Because if you think about it, when you're starting off, maybe you're giving yourself that margin that if you fuck up a rep, that I fuck up, oh, it's come towards me, it feels shit, yeah? That's going to be a lot less, in my opinion, a lot less risky than starting too far and then getting pulled over the bar. And even worse sometimes, you'll get it where it feels shit, but you still keep hold of it and still try and grind through. But once it starts going forward like that, it's very hard to stop that. It's very hard to correct that bar path mid-lift. So that's when you see people going, like, completely getting pulled over the bar. Yeah? Does that make sense to you?
It does.
And I don't want to, just have a look from the side. And I don't want you to confuse this with general hitching, because I do believe that, again, we don't need to go into this today, but I do believe that some people can hitch. Yeah, go and stand that side.
I was correcting that.
Just look. Can you see the massive difference between this and that? Right, on the second one, they're both hitching, both ugly. Yeah, everybody frowns upon them. But the second one is so much safer because of the bar path. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So not all hitching is equal. Right, let's have another go. And just see if we can kind of find a spot that feels okay, and then we'll move on to the. See, that to me looks sweet now, right?
It feels fine as well.
Yeah. Just look at the subtle but significant difference. Yeah, you see here, it's night and day. And I know it's too light to get any kind of feedback really, but look, that looks beautiful to me. You know, if anything, it's subtly ever so slightly back, but it's perfectly straight line. Yeah. And I think the most important thing, especially for you with say worrying about your back kind of thing, is that definitely not forward. So what can we do to ensure that even if you're kind of going max effort and you're grinding a rep, that it's not going to go forward. Yeah. Whereas lifting like that, can you see it now? Can you see the significant difference between that first one there where it's going forward and then in versus that? Yeah. So much better. So what's going to happen when you put another 140 kilos on this? The thing that's going to get exaggerated is you're going to be more likely to be pulled in that position where you're really exposing yourself. Yeah. Whereas here, the most exposed position that you're in is actually at the floor. Yeah. In terms of your back, and in terms of the worst forces that are going to be through your back are going to be in that start position there. Yeah. And then as soon as you break it off the floor, if you're strong enough, this is going to be a lot less force through that spine. Fact. Yeah. Whereas that there, the position you break it off the floor there versus here, can you see it's slightly in front? Yeah. So the forces through your spine there are going to be more than they were at the floor position. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Just tell me if I'm blagging your head, honestly.
No, it makes sense, Josh. Yeah. I think it's changed the height of my hips in the start position as well. Yeah. Because I'm no longer thinking about leg drive. I'm just thinking about that straight bar path. And the leg drive will cause me to pull my hips a little bit lower, and I think that can be exaggerated. I end up twerking when the weight gets much heavier. Makes sense. Then that just pulls me completely out of position.
Yeah. Right. Good stuff. Let's go again, and just don't think about it quite as much on this one. Just go for it and see what happens. Nice. That's good. Cool. Right, now let's assume that, so ideally go and do 1,000, a million reps at that and just repattern it. Yeah, and slowly build up the weight patiently until you get up to the point where you would with your other technique, and it feels like, oh yeah, it feels the same, or eventually a little bit better. Yeah, that's definitely 100% going to be better for you long term, both efficiency and like risk of injury, like 100%. Right, now we'll have a look at the other stuff and see if we can have a bit of a play around. So that bar path there, that new bar path, is a non-negotiable. Yeah, that is the focus. And then what you're doing with like your pelvis and your torso and stuff, like what we piss about with now, yeah, that's secondary.
Okay.
And I don't, like most people seem to learn the bracing and shit first, and very often layer it on top of a shit bar path, basically.
Okay.
Whereas actually just changing the scope, looking at the bar, don't look at your body yet, yeah, and that's how I teach everybody, to be honest, and teach beginners, to be honest. Like, teach the bar path first, and just give them a weight where they're not going to injure themselves because it's so fucking light for them, and then scale up the weight, and then now we need to introduce how to create more tension and stuff. Okay. With a lot of people, that's why you're giving you 40 kilos. Like, we could have done the same thing with 80, 90, but that's insultingly light, but you can fuck up all the positions and it's not gonna, the injury risk is so low. Yeah. Right, let's have a look at let's have a bit of a play around with the pelvis position. So get into that start position. It feels good. Right, and then let's just have a bit, like, assume that this here is like you've come in before and you're like anteriorly tilted a little bit. So imagine you're trying to tuck that tailbone under a little bit, just a little bit, yeah? How does that feel? You feel okay here?
It feels fine, yeah. Yeah? It just feels like I've switched on my glutes.
Cool. And just go, try a little bit further. Yeah? Right, and just notice that when you go, a big thing that's going to be really, really helpful, you can have a little rest. Good. Right, but thing that's going to be really, really helpful with this pelvis position is actually, right, if you come in, and I notice some days when I'm like stuck like that, in that interior tilt, and I just try and, if I come in and rush my deadlifts, for instance, like, I'm stuck in that anterior tilt like that, and I just feel either miles away from the bar, or to get into a normal start position, it just feels shit, and it just feels like I've run out of range of motion, basically, and I'm like kind of crouching under like that, yeah. Whereas, well, I'm cold now. Just watch the difference now as I just hold the start position there, right, and I'll just go. And what I'm doing there, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm just ever so slightly, as I'm doing every breath, I'm just basically getting out of that anterior tilt and just getting it more towards neutral-ish, yeah? And as I do that, what I can actually feel is that I feel like my arms get longer, yeah? Because of the position of my pelvis, right? If say we go to an extreme and you tuck that tailbone right under, it gives you that kind of perception that your arms are longer, yeah? So what we need to try on this next one is not like get out of your head that we're going into that position. Just change it a few degrees, and as say we'll do 5 breaths or something, and then every exhale, just try and tuck that little bit further forward, not so it feels like you're rounding your lower back or anything. And then as you do that breath, if you feel the range of motion change, then just kind of feel like can you actually feel your arms get longer? And if you do, take your slack out of your arms, so you can kind of go here, and if I go there, so can you see how my start position's subtly changing there? So over the course of a few breaths, I've gone from like that to actually like this, which again, if we can get into a start position that you feel strong in with your hips slightly lower, again, that's going to be a thing that puts less shear forces through your spine. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because you can see, like, when in your strongest position, you're quite, like, relative to a lot of people, like, you'd say you're quite high hip. Yeah. Would you agree? Yeah. Yeah. So if we can, but there's a reason, right? If you can, a lot of people would insult you and say, get your hips lower, get more leg drive.
It's at a cost to something else, though, isn't
it? Right, it is. And then what happens is you get to, say, 75, 80%, and you try and start there, and then what happens is you initiate the pull. You go boom. Yeah, and that arse comes up, yeah? So, but if we can subtly change you from here to here, it's going to feel stronger, but also less pressure for your back.
Aye.
But we want to do that without kind of compromising the strength, if you will. Let's just have a go at this drill and see if we feel any difference. We might not even be able to see it, but see if you can feel it at all. So we'll go 5 breaths every exhale. Just try and tuck that a little bit.
I feel like my sternums become more like upright.
Yeah, definitely. Right, and see if you can do a pull from there, just a deadlift. Do 2 more. Trying to find that exact same start position. That looks good. Nice. So yeah, it's tough to even see a difference from the side, but could you feel a subtle difference? I could feel
something changing. It felt like a little bit of rounding in my upper back.
Yeah.
It felt like a bit more engagement in my glutes. And it felt like I said, a more upright sternum.
Yeah, you can see there, your arse is lower than your shoulders than, say there.
Oh, I'm pretty much horizontal there, aren't I?
Yeah. But you can see it probably feels like it probably feels like you're making a massive change.
It feels safer. Like the big feeling that I got there was, well, my back feels really nice. It feels protected. Yeah. And I feel like I'm in a good start position.
Yeah, but it probably feels like you're making like a massive change that's different to what you're doing. But if you look at the video,
it doesn't change that much.
It doesn't look like when you make a change like this, it'll feel like, oh fucking hell, that feels good, but I feel like I'm like that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas actually just looking at the video to reinforce it feels like a significant change, but really you can't even. Let's try and go a little bit further. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's go again and see if you can. Just imagine you're tucking that tailbone under. A little bit more. Like you can see on that video that you're not like rounding your lower back on that.
No, it looks like it didn't change.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like it was arching.
Yeah. So let's go and get that start position, and then just imagine you're trying to. That looks good. Looks really good. It definitely looks different.
It feels like springy. You know, like I'm not working at the start so much. I'm working to get into a tight start. But as soon as I like press the trigger, it's like, you know, it's firing like a spring, like a coiled spring.
Good stuff. Cool.
And it's really warm. That's quite difficult to do.
Nice.
I guess if I feel relaxed and comfortable in a start position, I'm not doing an awful lot. But that's like.
Yeah, but the thing that I want you to connect in your head, like it feels like you're almost like you're making a significant change, but then looking at the video, like it doesn't look that different, but it feels night and day. Yeah.
Aye.
Right. So do you want a bit build up in weight?
Sure.
So just go whatever you want now, and basically go as heavy as you want.
Okay.
And I just want to see where the threshold is, where you. See if ideally what we want to see, what I want you to focus on is, I want the message to me that it's getting challenging to be that the bar speed alters before position.
Okay, so bar speed, not technique breakdown.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to be able to see, right, shit, you can see it's not quite as fast off the floor, but the positioning's exactly the same. Yeah. I just want to get on that edge, providing that you feel okay as we build up. Just want to get on that edge where we can start to see, or you feel me see, what's going to be the first thing to break down.
Okay.
Yeah. You've reached out for help with me with this, so I am telling you the things, all this other shit. You know, get your back straight, get your lats tight, all the million cues that we could write down for deadlift. I'm saying bar path. Yeah. 100%. That's number one.
Aye.
Yeah. For you. 100%. I didn't even think it was going to be that when you came. I thought it was all going to be about this kind of stability, pelvic control, whatever. Yeah, bar path, and then focus on this kind of this pelvic position and this start position. We've just altered we're assuming. Basically, when I'm fighting about like altering this position, doing that breathing stuff, I'm assuming that the bar path is a non-negotiable and that's taken care of now and that's fixed. Which realistically, it won't be for a good few sessions. It might be a few weeks or months or whatever, until that's, when you've got 170 on the bar, you're just going to go to what feels confident, where you feel strong, which will probably be your normal technique for at least a little while, which is normal. But yeah, when you're working on technique, that is the number one thing for you to think about. Like, forget the kind of all the other shit, that bar path, and fix that. And even on that one there, that one that you just did there, and you've highlighted it yourself, where you said when you've got the benefit of the eccentric, reps 2, 3, 4, and 5 feel better positionally than the first. Yeah, and obviously a lot of that is down to, say you've got a little bit of kind of stretch reflex when doing the eccentric, and on the first one you're having to create that kind of that stability on the concentric, which is tough. But for you, it was a positional thing. What you actually did on reps 2, 3, 4, and 5, it was the giveaway was, if you watch it back, is the bar is actually a teeny bit further away, like a millimetre or two further away. Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas on that first, I'll show you. On that first rep, you were like here, and then you're doing the eccentric, and then you're actually finishing there.
Okay.
Can you see the difference? It's not actually touching. So then you're there.
And that's probably why.
So and they were good, and that bar path was, if anything, that it was perfectly straight line, and it was just ever so slightly back towards you, like from midfoot to hip crease. Yeah. Whereas just that first one was a bit too straight.
Okay.
Like if you were loading up with weight and it went wrong, it's going to be risking leaking forward on that first one. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. Forget the breathing now. Forget the. Just go for it. Just like whatever you do in your start position on that first rep, a millimetre further away. Just to give you that space to. Right. That's good. That's better. That's like reps 2, 3, 4, and 5 now. Right, good stuff. Right, brilliant. So let's build up and just assume that you've done 1,000 reps just practicing the bar path, and then 1,000 reps layering this kind of the other stuff. So just build up and like you normally would. Yeah?
Is there a bin?
No.
Oh,
just put
stick
it on
my phone.
It's all right.
Oh, I'm not going in there.
I'll go and put it in there.
You dirty buggers.
I'm going for a wee. Right, I'm going to go for a wee and just build up. Don't rush. Got plenty of time.
Okay.
And I'm just going to think about something else because otherwise I'm just going to keep pecking at you.
Okay.
Yeah? And I just want you to build up.
Yeah? Well, that's just it. No, we're just here for as long as we're here for. Oh, is that what you're thinking? Are you hungry? For afterwards? I felt it a bit on the first rep.
Go. That's it, keep adding weight. So what, 80, do you do 100 next? Or would you do 90 or what? So we'll just keep beltless, strapless or whatever. Okay. And then we can move on to the other stuff and we'll talk about in a suit and stuff. But for the feedback I'm looking for, we'll get it from but obviously it'll be low, it might be, I don't know, 110, 120, 130 or something.
Well, that felt heavier than it should. So maybe 90 next.
Yeah, we'll do 90. So do you ever feel any like back discomfort when you do stones or sandbag picks or anything?
If my back was feeling shit going into it, yeah.
Yeah.
I attempted, like a last minute emergency bigger stone.
Yeah. On
Sunday. I did the 5 rep max deadlift on the Friday, so I wasn't recovered, but it's been a bit spazzy, like when I extend.
Yeah.
And I get like a weird nerve feeling just above my kneecap and down into my glute as well. So that was flaring up on 100 kilos.
Yeah.
It
What,
doesn't
on the
normally
extension?
hurt. Yeah.
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 Is
It
that-
doesn't normally hurt on the pickup because I can't really pick up enough to actually cause pain.
Yeah.
From the floor. It's always the extension.
Makes complete sense to me from all the other stuff that I've seen. Yeah, it's like you've got kind of a bit of a intolerance to extension.
I think so, yeah, like a facet joint irritation.
Like if you went like...
Like if I was to lie on the floor
Yeah.
and sit like this is not very comfortable, this really hurts.
Yeah,
I
makes
have to
complete
like
sense.
squeeze my ass to make it more tolerable. If I just relax, that's fucking awful.
Yeah. So beyond the kind of the deadlift technique stuff, like I actually think doing the, you know, just generally getting a bit stronger into, I don't want to say generic stuff like everybody does, like strengthen your glutes, strengthen your, but basically getting better at doing your exercise that you want to be good at for your sport.
Yeah.
Whilst keeping, think about this, Q, keeping the gap short between your rib cage and your pelvis.
Okay.
Yeah. Rather than thinking about strengthening your glutes, strengthening your core, all that shit. Yeah. Just think about what you have a tendency to do, and that's why what's happening when you're lying on the floor like that is your rib cage is coming away from your pelvis. Yeah. And like you say, what gives you relief in that is if you kind of squeeze your glutes or if you straighten out. Yeah. So yeah, it seems like you're hanging out in this position
I have a
a bit too
natural
much.
disposition to going into that. Like,
Yeah.
I always remember I've got quite long hair and tying it up and tying it into a plait, and then by the time I got to the end of the plait, I'm proper duck-arsed. That's like a feature of me before strength training, and I tried to like iron it out and remove some of that anterior pelvic tilt, and I think to a point I did very well with it when I was, you know, competing in 2017 when I stopped.
Yeah.
And then I've kind of not really thought about it since then, and I think it's just gradually come back to that.
But I think just generally chipping away at that is going to make is going to give you an easier task to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you could change your kind of default to just more neutral pelvis, then just getting into it's going to be a lot quicker to learn all the because what you're doing here and what we're doing with the getting rid of the butt wink on the squat, it's not even a strength. It's not that you're not strong enough. It's just motor control.
Yeah.
It's just motor control. Yeah. But you're going to find it easier to learn the motor control, and it's going to be easier to pattern if long term, like you do, I suppose, come a bit closer to the neutral in terms of your muscle balances and stuff, which you already know how to do all that stuff. Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is like just doing quite a bit of just when you're doing your hip extension stuff, just make sure you actually are extending your hips and make sure you like say stuff like say bridges and stuff. You know, you see people doing, I don't know, bridges and they put weight on them. They're not even extending the hips. Yeah. But you actually just making sure that even stuff like say your hip flexor stretches and making sure that you're not just going here and it feels like a bit of a stretch. You're actually manipulating that pelvis position. Today's about deadlift, but
it all ties in.
Yeah, definitely. Good. All right?
Yeah.
100 for 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Really focus on making it tough. And the giveaway be that the bar speed slows from the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. Before, like, I want you to maintain exactly the same position, exactly the same bar path, but it'd be like that was a grind off the floor, but the position stayed exactly the same.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Disciplined.
Yeah, exactly. Disciplined with the position.
Okay.
Yeah. A thing that I see where a lot of people go wrong when they do the lighter work, they do speed work, and they
but
focus.
They haven't practiced the position.
Yeah, what
the line of the bar.
Exactly. Yeah, when you're doing like say your lighter work or if you do speed work, whatever you do, people focus so much on the bar speed and the absolute bar speed, and maintaining the same bar speed as the plates go on. Very often at the expense of position, whereas we should look at the position as the non-negotiable. Yeah. And you go in as fast as you can within that constraint. Does that make sense? Yeah. I could pull that bar a lot faster. Yeah. So if you watch the technique, I'm moving all over the shot. Yeah. Which as I go heavier with the weight, if if I did that position, I'm just going to get fucking launched over the bar.
Well,
yeah?
my default to adding speed to a rep would be to bring more knee flexion into it, and then I'm pushing the bar away, and then it's, you know, rolling forwards and then coming back.
Exactly.
So yeah, you can't add speed to something that's not well rehearsed.
Yeah.
Well, you can, but it would be garbage.
But you can, and you can get away with it. And say, for instance, you've got a comp in 2 weeks or whatever, and you were recovering well, and your goal is to maximise your performance at the comp. I'd just say, just fucking rag it and go with the position. As long as you've proven that you can recover from these suboptimal positions, when you're peaking, just fucking go for it. But then when you're coming away from comp, you've got to, like, in my opinion, you've got to back off and think about it, like, the stuff that I've done with you today, 100 kilos is going to feel fucking harder than 100 kilos usually feels.
I'm not looking forward to it, I must say. 90 felt like 120.
But it's like, what are you going to say, like 2 steps back to go 5 forward.
Absolutely, yeah. I've built a fear of being in a rounders lumbar position, so I'm scared of being in flexion, so I've overcompensated by being in too much extension, and I can't maintain that with heavy loads, so it pulls me into flexion, and that, you know, injures me, it holds me back. But actually, if I just practiced loading in a flex position and bracing into there and maintaining it, there's no reason to be afraid of it because I'm doing it right here and it's not hurting.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I thought we were going to do when you came today, but seeing you, like, basically go from kind of neutral-ish to maybe explore a slightly flex position. But if anything, we've gone just from extension towards neutral. Yeah, and you're noticing a significant difference. What I'm suggesting with the stiff leg thing is actually just allowing you to explore a position that's even further. Yeah, that'll just make you. Because I think with this, if you don't go kind of explore the other way and even just use it as like almost like a flexibility thing rather than a position that you're going to use on your deadlift, if you will. I just think you'll be more likely to be in that kind of neutral range than less chance of going back to this extended position as the weight goes up. Okay. And in between sets, we'll just practice what we've just suggested there about the almost like doing like just like a stiff leg deficit. Just almost like you're trying to improve your flexibility at your whole spine. Yeah, you know, like Jefferson curls or whatever. Yeah, that's the thing that I found massively helpful for this. Doing Jefferson curls, and just think of it less as you're really trying to round your lower back, and more that it's just encouraging that kind of the more posteriorly tilted pelvis. Yeah. Or even just getting you out of that anterior tilt. Yeah. That's what, instead of, change the mindset on it, instead of thinking, right, we're trying to get you more comfortable being rounded at your lower back, just actually think we're just getting you more likely to be confident to get out of the anterior pelvic tilt.
Now it's making sense why it feels so nice to deadlift in a suit, not because it's doing a lot of work for me, it's stopping me from getting into a hyperextended position. Yeah. It's pulling me into flexion. Yeah. And then I'm bracing in flexion in the suit. Yeah. It's just that the suit is changing my start position into something that I need to do myself. Yeah. Yeah, completely agree. And I wondered last year why is this teaching me how to deadlift so well? How can I transfer that out of a suit? Yeah. And I didn't quite get it, but now it's just like hitting the nail on the head. Yeah, and that's what I was going to explain to you. What exactly what you've identified by yourself was because because you've got that. If you go into that kind of anterior tilt, the suit's pushing you back in. Like it's encouraging that kind of more neutral pelvis, if you will. So yeah, to me, when you're pulling in the suit, I just looked at the video the other day. Actually, I got a screen recorded off Official Strongman, but that looks to me what your raw should look like. Yeah. And it just looks like you're not harnessing the suit and getting much out of the suit in terms of pop. Yeah. You definitely it's perfect for you, and the kind of thing with your deadlift that you're trying to improve. Yeah. Is brilliant for like kind of like you say patterning. Where you should be and reinforcing. But I'm not actually using the suit well. But not actually using the suit well. So you're using it well in terms of you're getting it feels like tight and supported. Yeah. And I'm getting my extra 10% from it. Pardon? I'm getting my extra 10% from what I can pull raw. But I could probably get a lot more from it if I was actually. But I actually think maybe
that may indicate to me that actually you'd be able to pull a lot more on both. Like if you're getting 10% out of that, like if you're getting 10% benefit out of the suit in the position that I saw that you did the set the other day, just looks like basically the position changes in terms of like your pelvic position and whatnot, but in terms of your hip height to your shoulder height, it's just the same as raw.
Yeah.
Whereas what we should be doing over time, which could maybe have a go at today, maybe after this, is what the suit's going to allow you to do is allow you to start with a slightly lower hip position, because the position that almost like you see some, like we talked about before, where you see people almost like getting into this kind of squatty position on the deadlift, and they think that looks really good until they add weight and then the hips get shot up.
Like the standard Eddie Hall 500 kilo
exactly,
setup
yeah.
that everybody tries to replicate when they're learning how to deadlift.
Exactly, but
But he was wearing a suit and he was like 200 fucking kilos.
Boom, exactly that. Yeah, but if we can have a bit of a play about getting that slightly lower position. What you're doing with that is you'll feel that simple way to think about it is if you had like say a tight pair of jeans on here, don't feel any tension when you stood up, really, do you?
No.
But the more we go into kind of even if we bent over like this, like a stiff leg, you don't feel that much tension in your jeans, yeah?
But if
you go to squat down, a bit of knee flexion,
yeah.
you're like, oh shit, now I feel a little bit of tension. And that's what we're using with the suit.
Okay.
And that's why, yeah, so actually finding that bite point, which you're not doing at all, which is exciting because there's more...
There's room for improvement.
There's more kilos there.
Yeah.
And if there's more kilos there, and then you're thinking, fucking hell, well, I'm already getting 10%, and now I'm getting 15% because I'm actually using the suit better. You're getting 15%, in my opinion, that means that your raw should be higher.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So that would indicate to me that you don't need to get any stronger to lift heavier raw. Okay. That's what I mean.
That's cool.
That's what wins. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's saying in my head, is that actually... Yeah, you could be pulling more just by improving your technique.
Aye. Cool.
How boring are we? Nice. Go on, just do two more.
The first one was a struggle bus, and then the rest felt nice.
Cool. So have you ever done any kind of, have you ever done any like rest pause style training? Like do a single?
Not on a deadlift, no.
I think that would be fantastic for you. Say you had like, say you were building for a max, or you had a max deadlift coming up or something. That's just, instead of doing 4 sets of 5, say, I don't know, 130, 140 or something. Say 140, 4 sets of 5. Instead of doing 4 sets of 5, doing 20 sets of 1 at 140.
Yeah.
You're doing the same work in terms of tonnage, but just think about what you're doing. You're doing 20 first reps.
Okay.
Instead of
because that's the thing that needs the improvement.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guarantee that you'd probably get 5 deep and think, fucking hell, this is going to be tough. You'd get like 10, 12 deep, and then you'd be like, ah, shit, okay, I'm getting it now.
Things are starting to feel better. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And just a way to kind of self-teach and self-pattern, because you'll just find a more efficient way to do it.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, that's good. Or just flipping, just even if you're not doing singles, just flipping your work on it, like your volume stuff on its head. Instead of doing 4 sets of 6, can you do 12 sets of 2 or something like that at a similar weight, just so you can get more of the first reps in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really, really helpful way of, because what you can do is be like, oh, fucking hell, this first rep feels shit, or whatever. But, like, you know what you need to do to improve it. You've already told me. You're like, well, when I do the eccentric, obviously you're getting a little bit of kind of reflex or whatever, but the eccentric's just putting it in a good position for you to pull in. Like, you bang it down and you're, like, in a perfect position, start your next rep. Yeah? So, you know that you just need to find that position on your first rep, but just cueing yourself to do it is just tiresome. Like,
I don't mind doing that at all. I think big, like, bulky sets of high volume always, like, ruins me more, because I guess I've started the set in a poor position, I've started it with pain, so I'm like trying to mask the pain through the rest of the set.
Yeah.
It gets worse, it gets tiresome, and then I end up crippled for fucking days.
Yeah.
Whereas this style of approach, just look at the bulk of the volume, the total volume, and just break it down into smaller chunks, but over a longer extended period of time.
And I suppose the way that, like a way that I like to learn myself is like I like to kind of learn technical things and learn new skills don't like to think about it too much.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of, if I think about it too much, then you get like paralysis by analysis and you get overwhelmed by fucking hell. Well, I'm trying to do this, but that's how.
Yeah.
Like, whereas actually, if you can set up yourself to provide yourself with constraints where you kind of improve these things without thinking about it, then that's going to be massively beneficial, and do that wherever you can. So actually, just not thinking about technique whatsoever, and just say do 20 sets of 1 at 120. Do you understand logically that first rep is going to get better without even thinking about any cues, and probably a lot of the time is going to get better than me coming and cueing you to death. You say you're doing your 4 sets of 5 and say, right, come on, Jenny, on that foot. Like, basically, you just don't have to think about it.
Cool.
You going up?
If you want me to.
Yeah. Well, I don't want anything. I want you. Providing it doesn't feel like death. Let's do, instead of doing set 3, we'll do rep, put it down, stand up, and then go again. Okay. So you're doing like, say, 3 mini sets of 1.
Okay.
Yeah? Good. All right?
Yeah. The third one felt the best.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's evidence that's a better way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another way to do it, yeah. It's a slightly different approach that you can throw in, but the tonnage is probably going to feel a little bit, it's just another little method that you can kind of throw in. But the tonnage is going to feel a bit more difficult, yeah, because you reps 2, 3, 4, and 5 when you just get into a rhythm. You can
crank them out. Can't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool. That's good. So, thing that I'm seeing here is you can see ever so slightly as you initiate the pull. Like, it looks really tight, really solid. Bar path looks good. As you initiate the pull, you can see your hips coming up ever so slightly.
Okay.
Can you feel that?
Maybe I'm starting with my hips a little bit lower than I was before. Yeah. Because the weight's getting heavier, so I'm trying to gain more leverage.
Yeah. Or maybe, I don't think so actually. I think it looks exactly the same, but you were the weights were too light to get this actual feet. You were strong enough with the weight to actually maintain the position. I don't think you've changed position. I think the weight has just revealed that, actually, that position that we've been patterning isn't quite right. This is slightly stronger. Okay. Yeah? So let's go, in fact, let's drop it down. Let's go 120, and then just try, let's just try like a tiny bit higher start position, yeah? Okay. Or not quite as low start position, and see if we can. Let's do the same thing, 3 mini sets of 1, yeah? Nice. That's a good angle. A little bit more tension this time. Good. That's nice. I like it. That's good. Yeah, because you can see when you're taking the tension or that bite on the previous set, you could just see that. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas on that, it was teeny, tiny. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely felt it on the 130.
Yeah.
It's not that I feel that. I feel that collapse and get pulled forwards. So it's that I was aware of, trying to find a point where my chest isn't going to collapse.
Exactly, but that's what we're trying to do with the hips and stuff. Yeah. Is where a lot of people making the error of, well, stop the chest collapsing. They're fighting this, and they're wasting so much energy trying to fight say your chest collapsing over the bar. But it's because you're giving yourself a difficult task because of the position that your hips are in. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's like it's exactly the same principle as you're you people copying the Eddie Hall squat position row, and they're like, no, keep your chest up, keep your chest up, keep your chest up, and they're just getting mauled. But it's not because they're wasting so much upper body energy trying to, or like creating core stiffness to try and avoid that. Whereas actually it's just because of the hip position. Yeah, find a better bite point where even at the max weight you're not getting pulled anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. So let's try this next one. Let's go again. And this is where again we've demoed here that. Again, where a lot of people go wrong is they'll practice technique at, say you drop it down to 70 kilos and just practice technique with that and get that feeling amazing and then go back to your normal set. But you need to be finding different thresholds because different weights will reveal different things. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we've gone to that 130 and that's shown to me that, oh, well, yeah, it's only a little bit heavier than what we've just done where it looked perfect. But that position that looked perfect on the previous set actually wasn't because
it's not sustainable.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas what I'm thinking of the next thing here will be do the next set. We'll go. Is now you've got the hip position better with that slightly. In fact, let's just go one more at that, and we'll just do.
Okay.
In fact, I'll video this with my phone because I want to. This is very picky. This next bit. Ooh, that's really good. Really good. Nice. Like that. Cool. How's that feel?
Yeah, it felt a lot nicer.
Number one priority is this bar path, yeah? That we've ticked off first, yeah? And that's been such a drastic improvement today. And that's going to be an absolute game changer. And to be honest, this is a thing that once you learn what a fucking difference it makes, this will be a thing that you'll start seeing in your clients and think, for me, like I can see the like. Rather
than trying to run around the edges of it, just go straight to the fucking point.
Yeah, I think you'll just look through it through a completely different lens, and I think it'll be like basically once you get that pillar first, in my opinion, right, you get that bar path fixed. All the other stuff that we know that, all the other cues. If we fix this as number one, all the other cues fall into place so much easier. It's so much easier to pattern on top of a good bar path. Like you might have people that you've taught over the years that you think, fuck me, I keep on cueing them to death and they're just not getting it. They're just, we go to a certain weight and then it's just going out of the window. And it's frustrating because they can lift the weight and they're going to go to a comp and they're going to fucking lift the weight anyway. But they're just not getting technique. And very often it'll be because this is slightly out. So all those brilliant cues that you're giving them is just, it's just making it too hard for them to get. Right, and then bar path, and then pelvis position. And let's say anterior tilt, yeah?
Okay.
And then what we've identified there, and I'm so glad that we added a bit of weight, was because it revealed that as the weight went up to 130, we revealed that we were just starting with, looked beautiful, absolutely beautiful, all the reps looked beautiful, but we want this to be, like if you were just, say, training to get strong for everyday life, perfect, fine, because as soon as the technique starts to change, we just get you strong within that threshold, whereas we're teaching you in terms of the context of strong woman, yeah? So where you're going to go fucking ham and you're going to snap yourself on comp day. So if we want to kind of minimise the risk of what you're going to do at that, yeah, like we've talked about. So actually we've identified that as you're going a little bit heavier, starting with that hip a little bit higher is going to be, what you want to do is learn how we can find a position that we can maintain, and the percentage doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's 40% or 80%, the positioning stays the same. Yeah. And the thing that should change long term, ideally, is just the bar speed. Yeah. So it doesn't get to a certain weight and then we're mauled over the bar. That's completely fixed. Yeah. So the pelvis position first, and then the hip height for you. So finding that point where you're finding that bite point. Where you did before and it went.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on those ones there, you've just gone. Yeah. You found that bite point. So a good way to drill that bite point, like in your warm-up sets, just be maybe throwing in a couple of reps, like paused, pause like a millimetre off the floor. Yeah, because you pause, we say, even 80 kilos, you go like there, and you're going to be like, oh shit, that feels shit. There feels strong.
Yeah.
Yeah? So then you go back, like you lift, and then you go back down to the floor, you do your next pause, and you, oh yeah, that feels like I could hold it for 10 seconds, it feels fine. Yeah? And then the next thing that we'll do, can you do a little bit more lifting? Yeah. Then I'll think we can have a little bit of a play with what we kind of discussed about now we focus on getting the pelvis position and actually the lumbar area a bit different and more neutral, less away from extension. I actually think exploring now, because you could see on maybe one of the 130s, the hips rose, but also like your shoulders came forward a little bit like that. So I actually think of getting that higher hip position that we've just done. So that fixes the hip shoe completely. Yeah. But then to fix the kind of slight movement of the shoulders, I actually think of maybe just exploring on the next one, getting away from the almost like scaps retracted position. Yeah. And just letting your shoulder blades separate a little bit. We'll have a go on the next one. Like basically what you're doing is you're fixing that bar path as number one, yeah? And then all the other stuff is what we're doing, you're tweaking to try and, these inefficiencies that reveal at say 180 plus, if you do a 180, like what happens to the rest of your body, like how we can minimize the chance of those movements happening. They're happening for a reason, yeah? If you fix the bar path and the bar path's going straight, then that movement's occurring because actually it's a message, in my opinion, that's how I think, it's very often a message that your body's trying to find the most efficient position. So actually going somewhere between where you want it to be and where you're being pulled, so often somewhere in that range is very often the sweet spot. And that's what you want to find, is finding that point where you just feel like you're not from here to here, not moving whatsoever. Yeah. So we've fixed let's just go down to this, because this is a drastic change. And again, the thing what you're going to get here is, and I'm not saying let's go from say here to here, but I'm just saying let those shoulder blades be apart. Yeah. Those couple of reps where you feel like your torso coming in front of the bar a little bit. Just like imagine you're trying to make those arms long, and you're just letting these shoulder blades come apart a little bit. And again, you're going to get help with this start position. Is going to feel more efficient. It's nice. You're not shifting whatsoever. Looks like a shorter range of motion, big time. Nice. How's that?
Feels fine.
Yeah. And then what you've got to do with, obviously, because you're significantly changing your position, you've just got to be mindful that you don't reach a limit where you think, feels okay, feels like a short range of motion, but it's fucking hurting my back, or it's hurting something. Yeah. So just building up patiently. But could you feel the range of motion difference there? It's massive.
It felt shorter. I feel less tired from the set.
Yeah. Cool.
The saga of the lost phone.
Yeah. that setup position looks like, to me now, if you can build confidence in your physical resilience in that position, it looks like there's nowhere to get pulled. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's going to be just discipline, working with lower loads and keeping all of these things in mind. Because once, the weight goes up, my thought process just falls out of the window.
Yeah, of course.
And I just go into default emergency deadlift mode, which is
exactly.
lower hips, and then arse starts to shoot, back starts to hurt.
That's it. Which is logical, And it just means instead of trying to rationalise it and think, oh no, I'll try and overwrite it, the only way you're going to overwrite it is by patterning it. Yeah. And if you reach to a certain threshold where it feels like you're going back to this emergency position, that just means you haven't done enough practice below that threshold yet. Yeah? As simple as that. Cool. You can't, skip steps with it.
No.
Yeah. And it's frustrating because when you understand training as much as you do, like a lot of people make the error of thinking that, oh, well, I just need to know it. And then when I know it, I'm going to be, like when it really annoys me when like people message me and say, oh, give me, what cue should I do on this? And they think it's just going to fucking give them a 10 kilo PB on a lift. Whereas it's like, yeah, go and think of this cue and practice it 1,000 times. And then consider putting a little bit more weight on the bar. Yeah, it's not just knowing.
That is the common theme, though, isn't it? And I think it's unfortunate that we do have such short attention spans. We want everything to improve right now, without putting in the hard work. But you know, a technical change and making technical improvements, but it will feel shit for a while. It'll feel really hard because, like you said, you're having to change your whole like cognitive pattern around the movement, and then you've got to train your motor control. And that's going to take an awful lot of time to adapt to it, and then it will feel better than the first approach. But
the good thing is, like, I've done this countless amount of times with so many people that like I'll know how to get you better without it's not even going to be hard. It's not even going to be hard work. Like a lot of it. Put it this way: you're not going to work any harder than you probably work less hard than what you've been doing recently in terms of when you're banging your head against the wall trying to progress and feeling a bit iffy. Or as soon as I go heavy, my fucking back hurts or whatever. Like actually, I think the up in the frequency, but like sub-maximal, you know, like you're going and training your overhead day, but, you know, might give you like, say, three sets of 8 at 110 as you warm up on deadlift before overhead or whatever, and take you 10 minutes.
Cool.
That kind of thing. Yeah. Come on, let's go again. That's it, shoulders separate. That is so fucking good.
That one felt a lot better. Yeah.
So it's feeling hard because you're not giving it full beans, like in terms of you're not feeling like, right, move the bar fast.
Well, I'm thinking a lot.
Exactly.
Pre-tensioning a lot more things.
Yeah, but now on this one, it looks like you found a position that you are not going to be you can't get pulled anywhere from this. Yeah, look.
Yeah, that looks nice.
It's so much better. Look, the bar path is perfect. So much better. But there's not even, like, even before you were doing the one, when we adjusted your hip position, I didn't get it on this, but adjusted your hip position, and then your hips weren't getting shot up, but you were just starting to, it looks like if we could have put another 10 kilos on, you'd lifted it no problem. Yeah. But we'd have seen the shoulder.
Tipping forwards, yeah, I can't maintain an extended thoracic kind of through
Exactly, that's it. Whereas that looks like ideally you get to the point where you'd fail, and you just fail there. Yeah. And it just looks exactly the same. Yeah. Yeah? Mm-hmm. That was fucking awesome.
The second one felt really nice. Like that rep is how I should always be doing it.
So good. Do you want to do 130 for 2? We'll do this as your top.
Am I doing a set?
Yeah, one more. Good stuff. Brilliant.
The first one felt better than the second one on that one, which was weird. I think I changed my eye position as well on the second.
Forget that. Right, look at this and just think. Those four things I've written there. No, I haven't even written the fourth yet, but that's the protracted shoulders. Yeah. And then your challenge is when you're deadlifting, you're only allowed to critique yourself within those. Use those 4 pillars.
Ignore everything else.
Ignore everything else. Ignore everything else. Literally everything else. Right. So you've see if we can analyze it. So that you said the first one felt better than the second. And I'll tell you my opinion on it. I'd like you to do one more set. I'll tell you why. So on the first one, it was better, but the only way the second one was better was actually in terms of where you started, right? So look at where you started there. That's on the first one. Mm-hmm. And I just think if that
there's a little shift forwards on that first one.
There's not really a shift forward. It does come up, but
the shoulders are shifting forwards on my way. It's coming forward.
I'm just looking at the distance away from your bar, like on your second rep. Yeah. That's your perfect for you. I mean, you've already said it before you even came today, because you've done the eccentric, and that's put you in the ideal distance away from the bar. which I'm saying on the second one is slightly different to the first.
Okay,
So
because
I'm
it's a little
saying,
bit further forwards.
yeah. So that's where you, that's where you should be. That's the second rep.
Okay.
That's where you should be setting up. But just on the second rep that time was I just think you just
A little
went
bit too low with the hips.
exactly,
Okay.
and then that's why it just peeled up there. You with me?
Okay. Yeah.
And you can see that. Imagine that's another 20 kilos either side. What's going to happen with the bum shooting up first? It's going to cause that thing to pull you over the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One more. Let's do one more set. I think this can be the last one. Yeah, I think there's going to be better. I think that's where you're putting it on the way down.
Cool. Yeah? Okay. Just make a mental note.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Like it. That was better.
I can just see that knuckle of the big toe in front of the bar. Okay.
Fantastic. That was better. And to be honest, but most people aren't going to know what the fuck we're even talking about because it's so tiny. But can you see? Right. Look, this is the previous set, right? And you've just got no margin for error in terms of getting those knees over the bar. It's got to be. It is pretty perfect. But say you get to the point where you're like, right, I need a little bit more leg drive. You go knees over the bar a little bit more, then you nudge the bar. Mm-hmm. You nudge the bar out, you fuck your back. Yeah. Yeah? Whereas you go here, and you've just got that extra couple of mil, is just giving you that little bit more potential for the knee squeeze over the bar. Can you see it? It's just beautiful. So then you squeeze it off the floor, and if worst case scenario from starting there, worst case scenario, where are the plates going to go? The plates are going to go
back.
They're only going to go back.
Yeah.
So that there, you're going to get, worst case scenario, because they're going to go back, you're going to get the feedback off the floor before you even broke it off the floor. You're going to feel like, fuck now, my back's hurting before you've even peeled the weights off the floor. And that could be the end. Yeah. Or you fail. Whereas the other way is you only get that feedback where they're off the floor and you've got the fucking whole weight. Yeah. That bar path is just beautiful, isn't it?
And you're right, it looks like such a shorter range of motion.
Shorter range of motion.
Without the thought of the shoulder blades together.
Look at the back position doesn't move whatsoever. Yeah?
Sound.
That's fucking awesome.
Chuffed with that.